Hello and welcome to the Sports Grad Podcast, your bite-sized guide to enter the sports industry. And joining me in the studio, as per always, is Mr. Engagement, Ruben Williams. How are you, mate?
G'day, Ryan. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I, don't mind an engaging Zoom call. It's always fun when you can actually talk to someone and it feels normal and natural. So happy to cop that title.
It's great not to be on a Zoom call. I'm a meter from you right now. It's lovely looking at you in the flesh. But we'll chat about Zoom calls today. But we'll get into it. If you want to learn more about who we are, feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. Or if you want to ask us any questions, jump into our community. That is where we love to chat in our Sports Grad community. It's huge at the moment. Everyone's in there. So can't recommend to jump in.
Yes, and a shout out to all of our community members and particularly those who attended our speed networking event yesterday. We love these events. It's a chance to meet a lot of people in a short amount of time. One of the great successes of the speed networking event is our good friend Lachlan Croft. On one of these events, he met fellow member Nathan Peroni. Nathan was working at the AFL at the time. He told Lachlan about an opportunity in his team at the AFL and then helped Lachlan apply for that job. And now Lachlan is living out his dream at the AFL. So we love the impact that these speed networking events are having. So if you want to also get your foot in the door of the sports industry, maybe at the AFL like Lachlan did, or if you're on the other side of the coin and want to hire people quickly and easily, or just learn from the best in the world, there really is something for absolutely everyone inside the sports grad community. So be sure to get involved.
Absolutely, Rubes. We'll start the episode with a quick tip, as we usually do, to get a job in sport. So if you're currently studying or you've just finished studying, having a postgrad qualification, as we know, in sports management is amazing and it will give you a huge leg up. If you want to pump up your resume and get specialised knowledge in sports behaviour, law, marketing, ethics, finance, governance and strategy, take a look at Deacon's postgrad qualifications. Their Master of Business in Sports Management is not one of, but the best one in Australia, ranked at number 1. So get on board, add a postgrad to your resume, and that is our tip for the episode. What are we chatting about today? We touched on it earlier.
Ryan, today we're talking about Zoom confidence and all about how to be engaging online. Now, it's been brought to our attention by a couple of highly regarded university lecturers that engagement at uni and online classes is a bit down, which is understandable. It's been a tough couple of years. And we totally understand why, people have some of these, I don't know if they're fears, but doing little things like, not turning your camera on or not asking questions. I was exactly like that. When I was back in uni, I was very much a get in, get out kind of operator. Go to class, listen, take a couple of notes, go home. I wasn't that engaged at all. But now I've started to see how important it is. And so the purpose of today is to try and help you guys listening how to be more engaging and help you just understand the importance of developing good habits now, because when you enter the real world, you're going to need the confidence to run a meeting with a room full of 10, 12 people. You're going to also need to have the confidence to add value in meetings. That means you're going to have to speak up. You don't have a choice. And Aman, our guest on Tuesday, he actually said to us back in episode 57 when he was telling us about his career journey at the Kansas City Chiefs, one of his managers said to him, "Hey, Aman, if I'm going to invite you along to these meetings, I need you to add value. Otherwise, don't bother showing up." And over in America, they're pretty clear cut. They're they hit you straight between the eyes. Don't bother showing up unless you're going to add value. So if you want to avoid that sort of situation, you need to get into the habit of adding value right from the get-go. And then the other reason why it's extremely important to be engaging online is that it just helps you develop relationships. And when you've got relationships with people pull favors for people who they know well all the time, and it just makes working life easier. So the goal of this episode is to help you ingrain some of those habits really nice and early so that when you get to the start of your career, you can get off to a flying start.
Nice one. And I might add as well, like Zoom fatigue's a thing at the moment, right?
Yeah.
You know, people are pretty over the meetings over Zoom, at least in the working world. But the thing to remember is like they're not going to just suddenly disappear. You know, and there's some little things that you can do just to make it a bit easier for yourself and actually be engaging on the call, because Zoom fatigue is probably there because you're not engaged on the call. You know, you want to just meet someone in person and, you know, yes, it's going to come, but they're not going to just suddenly disappear. So some cool tips coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this, it's all about confidence, you know, having confidence to speak up, ask a question, raise a point, do whatever you need to do. And there's a couple of things behind confidence. It starts with your mindset. Preparation is a huge part of it too. And then taking action just kind of reinforces it. So we're going to start with mindset. Now, I know when I was at university, my mindset going into class would be like, all right, it's another Wednesday. I've got another class on, you know, let's say sport, leadership and strategy. And I'd just go through the motions. I'd rock up, take in whatever it was saying and not really do too much. But I want you to flip that mindset. If you're going in just going through the motions, have a think about this. The class that you're currently sitting in is full of people who are going to one day work in the sports industry. And you have got the chance to be a part of that conversation, engage with them now, which can help you down the line. For example, a couple of weeks ago, we chatted with Michael Wolfert at the Cincinnati Bengals. I met him on a study tour with Deakin University and Ohio University, and we got chatting in class. And there have been some other incredible people such as Tom Richardson, who went on to work at the AFL, and then Cricket Australia, who I knew at university. So I want you to flip your mindset when you go into class thinking, how lucky am I to be sitting in a room full of future sports industry professionals who are one day going to be able to help me out in no matter what role I have, because it seriously is an awesome opportunity that you've got to connect with people when you are in class.
Yeah. I think mindset is literally the key thing here. Like if you approach it with the attitude of like, oh, it's another class on another Zoom, then of course you're not going to rock up in the right mindset, you know? Like if you rock up and say, how lucky am I?
Yeah.
We love saying that. You know, how lucky are we to be in this podcast studio right now?
Yeah.
It's an epic thought. I love it.
Exactly right. So once you've got your mindset switched on, then you can start to do your preparation, because preparation just helps build up your confidence if you know what you're going into. So if you're walking into a class, you know, prior to the class, you might think to yourself, all right, what can I expect from this class? How can I add value to this class? What questions can I prepare in advance and want to find out from the teacher in advance? Rather than thinking, oh, crap, we're halfway through the class, I feel like I should answer a question, or actually, you know, I do know the answer to the question that my lecturer has just thrown at me. How can I respond to it? If you do your preparation in advance, then you're going to be in a much more confident position to speak up when you need to.
Yeah, I love that. I like the question prep as well, to have it ready to go. You know, that means it kind of forces yourself to be in it.
Well, it's the same as preparing for an interview or preparing for a coffee with someone or preparing for a class at uni. Like, you just want to do your preparation and come with questions in advance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So once you've got your mindset switched on, you've done your preparation before arriving, when you get to the class, you then want to take action. And now you've probably been in a class like I have, Ryan, where it gets halfway through the class and you think, oh, I really should speak up now. Like, do it now. And then it gets to 30 minutes, gets to 40 minutes of the class.
Yeah.
And you haven't spoken up. You're like, oh, God, it's been so long since I've said anything.
Yeah.
You want to avoid that, because your anxiety is just going to build and build and build if you feel like you should be doing something that you're not for the entire time.
Yeah.
So here's easy way to overcome that. As soon as you join an online class, turn your camera on, say hi immediately. And then within the first 3 minutes of the class, raise your hand and ask your first question that you've prepared. Because when you get in early, you've just got it out of the way. It's no longer in your mind. You've done it. You've now got the confidence to go forth and, you know, be an engaging member of that class. So first 3 minutes of the class, get in with your question.
Camera on, I think, is almost, you know, one of the biggest things about even looking like you're engaged. Like, as soon as your camera's off for me, like you're you're not in it.
Yeah.
You know, show your face, like force yourself to do it. And I love that, like ask a question straight away, because I reckon at uni, you ask one question, then you're engaged, and then another one will come.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you want to be the guy that has the confidence that can ask a question and looks like they are actually interested in what you're doing.
Yep.
Like, you're not going to remember the people that just sit back, never ask a question,
Nah.
camera off. You know, why are we here?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
get in it. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And those are the kind of people that, you know, you highly respect and actually, you know, wish you could be more like. You don't want to sit back and be the person who, you know, is just wishing I was someone else in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, you know, thinking back to uni now, like I never used to want to ask a question. Like, used to just avoid it. You know, I don't know what question to ask, or I don't want to sound stupid because the question's silly. I look back now, I'm like, the people that were asking questions you admire, because you're like, oh, you know, far out. I wish I had the confidence that they had.
Yeah.
And those people, you actually look back at now and you're like, oh yeah, that was probably the right way to go. You're like, why did I sit back and not ask anything? And I, you know, nowadays I'm like, if I had have done that earlier and got actually engaged in it, and you know, it wasn't like I wasn't engaged, but I just didn't really feel the need to speak up.
Didn't participate.
Yeah. I reckon I would have got way better at speaking with people randomly, whether it be, you know, one-on-one or in a group situation, way quicker than I did. Like, I feel like only the last few years, couple of years,
Yeah.
I've actually got very, like, comfortable to speak to anybody, you know? So I think about it now, it's like, if you can do that from the get-go at uni, it's the practice, you know, it's a practice for the real world. So if you do that then, you're going to be so far ahead when you get into work.
Yep.
So take the advantage of the opportunity while you have it in a safe environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And here's an example from Cricket Australia of what you don't want to end up happening. Because I was exactly like you. I'd get into uni and leave. I wouldn't engage. I wouldn't ask questions. I wouldn't really talk to anyone. And that hit me like a ton of bricks when it came time for me to present during a meeting at Cricket Australia.
Oh, yeah.
And I was incredible because I hadn't built this habit of speaking up and engaging with people. I was incredibly anxious when it came to my turn to present in a meeting. And so I'm sitting in a room full of like senior managers and execs, and I had to present probably like a 2-minute spiel on an update of something that we were doing.
Yeah.
And I hated this scenario because I wasn't used to it. And so when I began talking, the like anxiety in my chest just kind of built up and built up and built up as I kept talking to the point where I literally stopped talking. Like my mouth stopped. Nothing came out, and everyone just kind of looked at me and was like, are you okay? And I was clearly not. And that was just because it was something that I was so not used to. I went in with so little confidence, and I was feeling so incredibly anxious that it got the better of me, and I literally just made a fool of myself. And I remember driving home that night, stopping at Woolworths and pulling over, buying a bag of popcorn and sitting in a park eating a bag of popcorn for half an hour, being like, I feel terrible about myself. What the hell have I let happen at work today? So that's when I kind of like pulled my finger out again. I was like, all right, I need to address this. Yeah. So for people listening to this, if you can avoid that situation while you've got the time to practice in uni and build up your confidence, do it now, do it early. Work on your mindset, work on the preparation, and just continue to take action, because that's where you'll see the results.
Yep. Be the person that everyone respects and admires. Camera on, engaging, you know, you'll genuinely see the benefits down the line. So little tip for everyone. Great episode. Great work. If you want to chat with us further, obviously check us out on LinkedIn, but jump into the Sports Code community. That's where we love to chat, where we love to field your questions. Just get in touch. So you can go to our website to join or head to the show notes as well. Thanks for listening. See you next time.